I left school after my sophomore year to take a job, and went and played for 2 years in Hong Kong, and finished my undergrad at Juilliard, and that was it. I didn't pursue a master's because I got a job on the day of graduation at Juilliard. It happened to just be on the day for some reason. In fact, I missed half the graduation because of the audition. So, so I took that, and that was Honolulu Symphony, and then from Honolulu I came here. So.
Let's see, the first one I took was Hartford Symphony when I was a senior at BU. Then other auditions, Kennedy Center in Washington, D.C. That was in 2006. That was the second one. I took a Louisiana Philharmonic Principal Percussion. I took Chicago Symphony Principal Percussion, Boston Symphony. Took Florida West Coast Symphony, Colorado Symphony, St. Louis Symphony, Hong Kong Philharmonic. I've probably taken eight auditions, maybe 9.
I would say it's very difficult nowadays to win a job, but I don't think it's necessarily harder to win a job now than it was 20 years ago. What I do think is different is that the level basically keeps going up. So the guys who are in college now compared to when I was in college, they're playing pieces that we never would have thought of playing, that are just off the charts ridiculously hard. And that's always, my teacher told me that, Roland said, the level just keeps going up. That's the way it is. I think it's harder for students, because of that, because of the level is so high to begin with. But it's, that's the way life is. It's high for everybody in sports. New records keep getting broken. That's the way life is. So, but as far as actually winning, it was very hard to win back then, and it's very hard to win now. So I'd say in that regard, it's not much different. It's just very difficult depending on what you're trying to win at the time.
In orchestra's auditions, there's usually just there's 3 rounds. There's a preliminary round where everybody plays, and generally what happens is when you get there, they group you off into maybe groups of 10 or 12 or 15, so that so it's just more organized that way. So there's not 100 people there. There's like 10 groups of 10 or something like that. It just keeps things a little more organized. People know when they're going to be playing, and you just go in there, and they generally announce who makes it to the next round after each group has finished playing. So if there's 10 people, they play. Then they wait, and the personnel manager comes out and says, we'd like to hear candidate number 5 in the next round. So after they hear everybody, maybe there's 10 people they want to hear in the semifinal round. The semifinal round generally works the same way, although occasionally the numbers are a lot smaller, so they won't have to group you off. You'll just be sort of, it'd just be one big group. And same way for the finals. There's obviously only maybe at that point 5, 4, 2, it's quite a bit smaller. So they just hear individuals. They don't need to put you into groups because there's just not the numbers for it.
I try to plan out the audition day as best I can, and that's not really possible to do because there's way too many things that are out of your control once you get to the audition. But up until you show up, you can dictate almost everything you're going to do throughout the day. I write out a schedule so I know what time I'm going to eat breakfast and brush my teeth. And fortunately, already being in Boston, I knew the logistics of things. I knew where to park, I knew where the hall was, that sort of thing. So I could show up a little bit closer to my audition time than I probably would have otherwise.
The last Boston audition, it was about a year ago, a little over a year ago. That's probably the most I've practiced for a consecutive amount of time. I thought I was pretty ready to go for that audition. It was pretty much it was pretty much run like any other audition I've been to. The first round, there were just I'm not sure they did groups if I remember right, because there were like I said before, there were only 30 people there, so I think each candidate just had a number. Actually, I think I was second to last on the day of the preliminary round.
Played the prelim rounds and went home, and they made phone calls later that night telling you if you had advanced, and my phone wasn't ringing. I was getting worried, so I'd actually pulled out the rep list for the next audition, which for me was going to be the New York City Opera, and I was working on opera excerpts for the next audition when my phone rang. And they said, "You're in the semifinals, you can come back next week." And I said, "Good."
I'd say I wasn't quite as, aware of where I was in terms of, I'm playing on Symphony Hall stage. I think I had gotten over that, but of course, as you get closer to a job, I think at least I get more nervous. So I think I was a little more nervous at that point, just in terms of my own playing. Not really worrying about like what the hall sounds like or where I was, just that I knew it was the Boston Symphony, and there weren't that many people left, so this is a possibility of winning. And so I'd say I was pretty nervous for that. Generally, my playing in the first round was okay. I have to say my xylophone playing was pretty bad, and in the second round, I think I just made some mistakes that kind of stupid mistakes, but that's how it goes, and they don't really care if they're stupid mistakes or not. They're mistakes. So